let's catch up on all the things that I've finished, that I've been working on, and what I want to start. So grab a beverage, grab your current whip, and let's dive in. Welcome back, friends. If you are new here, my name is Melissa. I am the dyer behind Rising Tide Fiber Company. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads as @Rising Tide Fiber Co. and on Ravelry, Goodreads, and the Storygraph @Macy Boston. It's been about a month since we've chatted about what I'm working on, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. If you're curious about what I'm wearing, this is the Astro Pop tee. It was the 4-day knit along last summer with Marie Green of Olive Knits. I used my Rising Tide Fiber Company cotton wool DK in several different colors for this bright citrusy top. I have a bit of a finished object, but I have some concerns. I think I haven't woven in any ends. You may know that I was working on the Avenue Tee by Tori Yu. I was using one of my summer book club colorways called Romance Revival. It's the August book pick, the Romance Revival by Christina Lauren. So I have finished my Avenue tank. It had to go through a bit of surgery because I had not read the diagram correctly in the pattern when I was picking up my back piece, because you start this back piece and then you pick up to do, your left front and your right front before you connect it all in. And so I had picked up here and not over here because of the way that the stitches looked. And so I had to do a bit of, fortunately, because you had cut your yarn and you were picking up stitches, I was able to go back and unpick where I had picked things up, inserts of needles, and then move them and Kitchener them into the correct spots. So I did that. I connected it all in the round. I blocked this, and the superwash wool grew immensely to the point where it was like way too big. So it wasn't completely dry. Like as soon as I soaked it and pulled it out and spun all the water out of it, I knew, like, I put it on damp and it just was like way too big. So I did put it in a dryer, which is fine. It's superwash wool. But my problem is these armholes are still too big, and they're not, like, the whole thing fits just fine, except ever so slightly. And it's not even like down here in the side. It's like ever so slightly, like right here, you can see my bra. So I could totally leave this as is and wear it under as a layering piece. And I think I know why it's ever so slightly too big here. I think the problem lies in when you knit the back piece for so long and then you knit the front piece for so long. This particular pattern, you were knitting the front piece, I want to say it was like an inch or two longer than what you were knitting the back piece, because I think that she was taking into account the short rows. I have too much fabric right here. Like from here to here, I just have too much. There's too much fabric. Like I can literally fold the fabric over, and I don't. So that either means that that my row gauge was off, which is a possibility. I didn't check it because it doesn't matter now that it's finished. I think the easiest way to fix it, because quite frankly, it's not enough fabric here that it affects the way I wear it, other than like right here. I don't like ever so slightly. If I open my arm like this, you're gonna see my bra. So I think that I could just take my 5 rows of ribbing off and change the pickup rate for stitches, because I think this one called for pick up every 4 of 5 stitches. I could just pick up every 3 of 4. Technically, I could probably pick up every 2 of 3, and kind of cinch those armholes in. That is probably what I'm gonna do, because quite frankly, that extra fabric up here, I think I knew before I connected everything in the round that my front was a little bit longer, but I just assumed that my chest would fill that in, and it didn't really work like that. I should have gone with my gut and evened them out, but I didn't. Lesson learned. So I haven't woven in ends for the simple fact that I was just a little bit disappointed when I tried it on and I didn't know, like, do I want to just weave in ends or do I want to fix it? I think now that I'm a couple days removed from it, I'm just gonna, I don't feel like it right now, but I will probably it's 5 rows of 1x1 ribbing on each arm. I can easily take that out, re-pick up everything in a different pickup rate that I think will kind of cinch that fabric in a little bit more, and it'll fix the problem that I'm having, and it may kind of help with the extra fabric here. I just need to be careful that I don't not pick up enough stitches that it like bunches. So like I said, it's just kind of sitting off to the side until I take like a Saturday afternoon and feel like I don't like picking up stitches. So it's not a big deal once I've picked them up, but look, I like to go round and round and round. So we'll get there, but it is finished. I know Andrea finished hers of Karcher Makes and Shannon of Shenanigans and Skeins. She finished hers. I think she's blocking it today. So my buddy knit is done. I just need to make the slight modification to get mine to fit better. That's the only finished object that I have. Everything else is a whip. So let's start with my sock whip. You may have remembered, I think I have a little stitch marker on here. I was working on my Freckled Whimsy vanilla socks, and the colorway is Christmas poinsettias, and I was right here. I just had a couple more rows to do. I did those rows. I did my heel. I just have another inch or so on my foot, and then this one will be done. I got my August colorway, and it's beautiful. It's a lot of pinks. So I just haven't really been in a sock mood. I really wanted to get my Avenue tank knit. And I had a few other goals, really. So socks are not done, but I did make some progress on them. The other thing that I have made a lot of progress on is my Bibliophile shawl. This is a mystery knit along that I'm doing with Frogget Yarns. Every month they put out a book club colorway. I order a half skein, a 50-gram sock set where it's a 50-gram main color and then 20-gram mini to go with it. And Paisley Pearl Designs sends us every month the update. So we do the update, we do the little mini skein, contrast color, we keep going. Where's my marker? I'd only done one repeat in June. This is June's color. And so I finished the 1.5 repeats that I needed to do for June. I did July, and I have caught up with August, y'all. Oh my gosh, who am I? Because a month ago, I want to say I was where this little marker was, I think. At that point, I had, I think, finished April, had done all of May, and I had started June. Well, I'm happy to say that I have finished June, done July, and I'm all caught up with August. Let me tell you about these August stitches. I was not crazy about this texture pattern. Like, I like the way it looks, I think. But they're like cluster stitches where you like move a certain number of stitches off the needle and then you wrap your yarn around those stitches on the cable needle like 5 or 6 times, and then you have to knit them off the cable needle. Oh dear Lord, it is fiddly. It's not fun. Like the first month, this beautiful stitch pattern right here, I don't remember what it's called. It was kind of a slog, not because it was hard. It just took a long time and it was a little hard on my hands, but it was a beautiful result. I got this cluster stitch pattern and I was like, I don't want to do that. First, I had to look up a video on how to do it. So I was like, what do you mean I'm wrapping yarn around my stitches? I don't understand that. So I almost looked up a different texture pattern, but there were some relief rows in here. Overall, I think the stitch pattern is nice, but I don't want to do anything like it again. So I made serious progress on this because I was so far behind. That's what I spent a lot of it took almost all weekend just to do August's stitch pattern. That's how fiddly it was. It was definitely kind of interesting. I have made a fair amount of progress on my honey petal cardigan. This is the buddy knit that I'm doing with Tasha over at Frogget Yarns, and we are using Whole Scarn's Coast yarn, which is half lamb's wool, half cotton, and I'm using Putty and Ice Sea. I'm holding them together and marling them. And the last time you saw me, I was only a few inches into my body. I've since done several more stitches, or a couple more inches. So this is starting to, now I feel fiddly. This is starting to kind of come together. I have not tried it on to see how much further, like where I want to take it. I know that I was way ahead, and then I had put this down for a long time so that Tasha could pick up hers. And then she didn't pick up hers for a while. We kind of ping-ponged, but she has finished her body. I want to say she only did like 8 or 9 inches. She did her ribbing. And so she's on her collar as of like last week. So we'll see. I made a fair amount of progress. Now that my Avenue tank is done, I should be able to make some fair amount of progress because it's just knitting and purling back and forth. So we'll see. I'm using a US4. I'm marling the yarn, which makes it like a DK weight. So it's a little bit heftier. It's not super fine like fingering because I'm holding it together. So that's kind of nice. I know like last night, no, it was this morning when I was drinking my coffee and I was watching the final episode of a show, and I don't have to have my faculties about me yet in the morning to work on something like that. Whereas something like the Bibliophile, where it's a texture, there's, 38 row repeat type of thing. I don't have to worry about that. So it was kind of nice. I did start a new project. One of my recent videos, I'm trying to squeak out one more summer top. And so you guys voted, and overall, you guys wanted to see me do the Prospect Tea by Tori Yu. In this yarn, I only have this little one with me. My first skein, when I wound it, I was winding too fast, and something got caught, and the yarn like snapped. So, I am using, this is Knit One, Crochet Two. It's their Cosette base. It is 62% silk, 30% cotton, and then 8% polyamide. And it's in the color Shamrock. I have completed all my short rows, and I have started into the body. I'm only like an inch, and I have to do something like 7 inches or something. This is another one where I'm going to have to be careful. This is the same designer that wrote the Avenue tank, and where I have to knit 7 inches from this end, but then when I do the front piece, I think I have to do 9 inches because she's taking into account this whole short row area. I'm going to have to be careful because I don't want, though this one has, you know, drapier sleeves, I don't want another scenario where one is like it's longer in the front than it is in the back type of, like I don't want to have to deal with that nonsense. So I think I'm going to go with my gut and make sure that before I connect them in the round, the front and the back are matching in length, because now that was an issue with that pattern, I'm already worried about this one. Although, because this one, the length is the armhole, I don't think I have as much to worry about because there's some forgiveness in there, but I am still thinking about it. So this is being knit on a US 3. It is, I think my yarn is considered a light sport. The pattern called for a heavy fingering or a sport. So we'll see. But I started this yesterday. So if I got that much progress done in a few hours while watching TV, I think it's doable that I could crank this out, particularly once I get in the round. The texture looks really nice, but it's not horribly complicated. It's a lot of knitting and purling in particular rows. I have worked on my Twisted Tea with my Frogget yarn in their summer book box colorway, but I only got about a half an inch completed since I showed it to you last time. I haven't really picked it up much, so I didn't even bring it up to show you. I do have a couple of projects. I've done a ton of swatching for new colorways that came out, but I also have a couple of projects that I want to cast on, and they both use worsted weight. So back at the very beginning of the year, I finished my Fleetwood sweater, and my sister happened to watch. It was like the first video she'd ever watched. I don't think she watches the channel. She just happened to be like, what is my sister's YouTube? Like, what is this nonsense? And so she watched it, and she immediately texted me and was like, I want a Fleetwood for Christmas. And so I was like, okay. And then I just kind of sat on it. But it's August, y'all. So if I'm going to make her a sweater, I need to do it soon. So I did have an idea in my head, but I was like, this is not for you, Melissa. This is for your sister. So I did reach out to her and say, hey, do you really want me to make you this sweater? And she was like, I do. So I did ask her about colors. You know, I was like, look, I have colors in mind for one, but again, it's for you, it's not for me. And she was like, well, what do you have in mind? And I was like, pink. She doesn't care about the granny squares. She completely trusts me to coordinate granny squares to go with the main color. And so I think my sister's favorite color is orange, but she also really digs pink. So I decided, I sent her a picture of a pink that I really liked, and then this is my swatch. It's not very big, but I swatched this pink colorway. It's basically this. So I've swatched, I know what size needle. I had to make her like do a bunch of measuring and go pull out your favorite sweater in your closet type of thing. And I was going to make one size for her, but she likes a lot of ease. She's tinier than I am. But she likes a ton of ease. So I actually need to make a size bigger than I would have made based on her actual measurements. So I'm glad I made her go and measure a sweater that she loves. Loves the way that it fits. So she's getting a pink sweater where mine was blue. And then I used 4 colors in my granny squares, and then I had to duplicate one of them. I have 5 colors picked out for her. I'm going to use the first color in the center is going to be New York in the fall, which is part of my Efron Essentials. So this will be the center. And then the next color will be like this orange color. This is actually my July book club colorway called Love You More. And then the rest of her colors in sequence will actually be the, well, they're a little out of sequence, but they are the new Cozy Coven collection yarns. So it'll go yellow, orange, pink, purple, and blue. I have swatches of all of them. I can't find my orange one though. When my mom bought the last of the skeins on the mobile truck, she handed me the swatch, and I remember putting it in a basket under the seat, but I've done something with it since. But if I kind of lay out the swatches just like with their garter ridges and just imagine the orange one in between, I think it'll make a really nice sweater, and then we'll just be pairing it with the pink. I don't know. I like it. So that's one sweater. The granny squares are done in DK weight yarn, which is fine. I obviously, when I make my swatches, I have all this yarn left. So I have plenty of yarn to make 9 squares for her. And the way that I do them is I'll take color 1, I'll make the 9 centers, then I'll go and do all 9 of color 2. And then I just kind of keep going through that motion so that then I can block them, weave in all their ends. And then this sweater is done all in pieces. Yeah, it's done in pieces for the most part. You have to connect all the squares, then you have to pick up and knit in one direction. You're knitting some side panels. So it's easy enough, but once you do the squares in DK, the actual sweater, because of the gauge, is knit in a worsted weight yarn. So it actually goes fairly quickly. I think I just kind of stalled out on mine at the end of last year because I was just not wanting to do sleeves. So she got me her measurements and stuff last weekend, so I will get started on that so it's ready by Christmas. The other project that I really want to make is the Flock pullover by Andrea Mowry. And I really kind of stewed about colors, but I have dyed a new color. It is in the shop. Or it will be by the time you see this. But the main color of my sweater is going to be this butter yellow color. I think I'm going to call this Butter Lovin'. This is going to be my main color. And then my 2 stripes will be this bright pink color. And then the stripe in between the 2 pink ones will be this blue. So this is going to be it's very primary looking, isn't it? But I would love to start this. I've already bought the pattern, marked it all up for what size I want to make. I just have to do it. But I am trying to clear my needles a little bit. Like, I needed to get the Avenue tank off the needles. I needed to get that Bibliophile shawl caught up to date. Like, I was like, you cannot, like, when I got June and July done and I didn't want to do August's clue because I was like, what is this? I don't think I like this. I was like, oh, well, you could just cast on one of the new sweaters. And I was like, no, you will not. You will finish and get caught up because I'm already past the halfway point. We're on the downward slope. So school starts for me, well, not tomorrow, but I have an all-day in-service tomorrow. So I know that things over the next couple of weeks are going to pick up. Kids start returning August 25th in my school district. So I need to be up to speed because as the year gets busier and we get into fall festival season, I don't want to be behind. So I needed to get caught up. I need to catch up on my honey petal. And I knew that I wanted to cast on that other summer tea. So I have plenty of things to keep me busy, but I will probably start these 2 projects, particularly my sister's. Once I get past the granny square stuff, it goes pretty fast after that. Not that granny squares are hard, but crocheting, because it's not a muscle movement that I use a lot of, I can't just crank out 9 squares in a night. I mean, maybe I could, but if I could get them done in about a week, I think that's what it took for mine. It took me about a week to just get all 9 of them done, and then you got to block them, weave in ends before you can start putting the sweater together, crocheting them together. And that's all of the knitting content. That takes me into shop news. So there's a lot of Halloween. It's August, y'all. So Halloween is on the radar. And so if you watched my video from last week, you saw that we have the 3 new Cozy Coven collection. I did not bring the books out. Sorry, y'all. They are still where they are. But they are based on the witch novels by Lucy Jane Woods. So we have Rewitched, we have Uncharmed, and then her newest book that comes out in September is Disenchanted. I have sock sets drying on the racks as we speak. Those, by the time you see this, they will have already started shipping, but for me, they start shipping in a couple of days. I also have the weekly, so you can get these on sock sets. So DK weight sock sets, fingering, 100-gram sock sets, 50-gram fingering sock sets. You could get this on my fingering, sport, DK, and worsted weight bases. If you don't want to do socks, you want to do something else. There's also the weekly sock set countdown based on the Vampire Knitting Club. So last year I did books 1 through 4. This year we're doing books 5 through 8. They have some really beautiful colors. I know that it's book 7 has this really bright lime cover, and a lot of people are loving that cover and are really looking forward to that colorway. There's a lot of yarn over in the shop, sock sets that are in stock. I have a lot of colorways that are just onesies and twosies, where I had a batch of 12 or 15, and now I'm down to like 1 or 2 sock sets. All my sock sets over there, except for Halloween, are 25% off. I think it was 25% off. So hop on over to the shop, peruse sock sets, and clear me out, guys. I need to make room for new sock sets for the fall festival season. And I can't do that right now because I got too much inventory. You can still get summer book club picks, those colorways, whether it's the Romance Revival, this was Love You More, and then the other one is purple and gray that is for Our Perfect Storm. Those will be available at least through the end of this month, and then I may pull them down, except for whatever I have left that I can put on the truck. That takes me into, what am I watching? So for a long time, I was kind of in this drought. Like, I didn't really feel like turning the television on. I just couldn't get absorbed in anything, even though I had started a few things. So I have started watching Ransom Canyon. When I first turned it on, I have a dog that's a little bit reactive. The TV in my living room is ginormous, and so everything is larger than life. So anytime there's a horse or a dog or anything, or even just the music sounds like it's changing, like something's gonna happen, she starts having a fit and barking at the television. So I kind of put that down for a little bit. But I did finish up Dutton Ranch. You'd think, I don't know. I guess there's just not, there's a lot of cattle, and she wasn't really crazy about the cattle, but I finished Dutton Ranch. I finished watching the 5-Star Weekend. I did have to be careful because there's like a big dog in that, and Petal wasn't having that, but I did finish 5-Star Weekend. I did like it as I got more invested in it. The first couple of episodes, I was like, what is this? This is so different than the book, but we won't go there. And then this week, I basically binged all of House of Dragon over on HBO Max. It was something that was on my radar. Like, I had watched the first and second seasons as they came out the last few years, but I hadn't started season 3. I went ahead and started it. Petal didn't like dragons either, by the way, but I did binge it this week and finish up those 8 episodes. I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of sorry it's over. So I guess I will return back to Ransom Canyon. I don't really know what's gotten over me in the last couple of weeks, but I have been turning the television on, I am really excited about the new season of Ted Lasso over on Apple, but I refuse to pay for all my streaming services at the same time. Like, my husband has a couple, I have a couple, but we kind of rotate what we use. Like, there was something on MGM that he wanted to watch, so like we had it for 30 days, and then so he could watch whatever it was he wanted to watch. He was like, hey, we have it right now if you want it. And then we got rid of it. So I only pay for Apple when there's something that one or the other of us want to watch. And right now, I just said, he asked me about it because he knows that I really like Ted Lasso. And I was like, look, there's going to be like 8 episodes. Apple releases things 1 episode at a time. So I'm just going to wait till we get towards like episode 6 or 7. Then I'll re-up Apple, binge through the newest season of Ted Lasso, and then I'll like cancel it again unless, like, I don't want to pay for Apple for 2 months if I can just wait, avoid spoilers, and watch it and have Apple for a month. So that's what I'm doing right now. I've done a lot of reading, or it's going to feel like I've done a lot of reading because it's been basically a month since I've sat down and talked to you about what I'm reading. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on every synopsis. The first is Autumn at the Cat Cafe. This was an advanced audiobook for me. The author is Kathleen Fuller. I don't remember who narrated it. This is now out. I actually really enjoyed this book. I'm not really a cat person. This is, I believe, a translated work, but it was cute. I had an advanced audio copy of Heart of Glass by Jennifer Hillier. This book doesn't come out until August 25th. The only reason I have an actual hard copy is because Book of the Month had this as a book pick for August as an early release. I devoured this book. Now, this is technically like a sequel to a book she wrote called Wonderland. According to my Goodreads, I haven't read Wonderland. I think maybe it's one of those books that I have, and maybe I forgot to just add it. That does occasionally happen. I do every once in a while miss something. So I really, really enjoyed this. I don't think you have to have read, let's say that I didn't read Wonderland, and you don't have to have read that to get anything out of this book. Jennifer Hillier is one of my favorite authors. Her books are really quick paced. I loved this book. I can't stop talking about this book. And honestly, again, I don't think you need to have read or listened to Wonderland to get this book. I devoured it so quickly. I also had a advanced reader's copy, an ebook of a book called The Inn at the Foot of Mount Vengeance. And this is by Kiara Bullen. This is a cozy fantasy. And the premise sounded really good to me because it was like an academic going to this, inn at the foot of this mountain where people take these treks, but there's like nothing's documented about these people who have made it to the top, and there's like a dragon involved. I wanted to love this book so much. I just kept thinking, oh, there's a nerdy academic in it. This is my vibe, but we're gonna have those cozy, inn vibes. I will say, as I got towards like the last 20% of it, I was all in and I was invested and I wanted to know what happened. And I was invested in the beginning, but that middle of the book drove me crazy. It felt never ending for me. So I'm not going to say this is a bad book. I just think I'm not its target market. Like, I like cozy fantasy, but I'm not a big fantasy person. So if you like a little bit more of the minutia, you would probably like this book. Then I had an advanced audio copy of Paper Ghosts by Sarah Addison Allen. She is known for writing magical realism. This book comes out on September 1st. This is another one that I devoured, that I loved. Like, when it comes out in hardback, like when it comes out in September, I want a copy. Like, I loved this book. It's the type of magical realism that's just ever so slightly enough to be believable. Like, you can suspend that little bit of disbelief. She's really good at writing that kind of magical realism. Then I had an advanced copy of a audiobook by Meg Cabot called Magic We Made, but it was book 2 in a series, so I listened to Enchanted to Meet You first. They were okay. They're cute. They're like cutesy, witch romances. Nothing stand out for me. Then I read, the Odyssey came out. And so I read the Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood. This is a really short read. I want to say it's like 200 pages, if that. 191. It's not very long at all. And this basically is kind of a truncated version of the Odyssey from Penelope, from the wife's perspective. So this is a female-centered story, and it gave you a lot of food for thought. I enjoyed it. I would read it again. I really liked it. Then I had an advanced reader's copy of a book called Missing Molly. This is by Natalie Borelli. She recently wrote a book called The Housewife, which I had an advanced copy of that one too that I read months ago, and I really liked it. Missing Molly, I know The Housewife, people were kind of hit or miss. Some people are like, what did I just read? Missing Molly comes out on October 20th. I had an ebook copy. I think I read it in like 2 nights. Like it's a thriller, and essentially this girl is working for a newspaper, and the newspaper isn't doing well. So then there's this new guy that starts working there, and then he goes to the boss of the paper and was like, hey, we should do a podcast. This little girl disappeared when her family was brutally murdered. She's never surfaced. Nobody, where is Molly? Well, it turns out that the girl working at the paper is Molly, but obviously she has a new identity. And so here she is working on a podcast where they're trying to essentially find her. It was a really interesting premise. It moved really quickly. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you like thrillers, it's a different take on that. Magpie Fibers out in Frederick, they are doing a book club over on Substack, and they pick 2 a month. And I feel like they always pick one, from what I can gather from last month and this one. They pick a romance, but then they also pick something else. I want to say it's like fantasy. I'm not reading the fantasy pick. So I did read No Place Like You by Jillian Meadows. It was okay. It is a bit spicy, so if you like spicy romances, but there wasn't anything about it that really stood out to me. It was okay. I did read Troubles in Paradise by Ellen Hildebrand. This is book number 3 in the Winter Garden series. It's kind of a little suspenseful. I really enjoyed that trilogy. If she wrote more series like that, I think I would read more of hers. I mean, I'm still working my way through her backlist, but I definitely enjoyed that series more so than her summer beach books. I did listen to Darling Daffodil's Farm by Brittany Nicole. I really enjoyed that. That author has a second one coming out next month. I think it's called like Bonfires and Books or something. I don't know. I recently finished a book that comes out December 1st called Possession Island by Sarah McKinney. This one was a little weird at first. I really grappled because we're bouncing timelines, right? We got a couple dueling timelines, but we're also reading different points of view. And so sometimes I was like, wait, which girl's point of view am I reading? Which time? It's easy to determine which timeline we're in because one is when they're in high school and one is when they're more like in college age, maybe a little bit older. And it's about a girl whose mom who wrote this vampire novel that, the vampires were lesbians in the book, and it takes place on this island, and then her mom eventually moves her family to this island. So the island is really famous because of this author. Her mom is deceased now, but she grew up on this island with all these people that are like just super fans of her mom. It's the only book her mom ever wrote, and there's all these questions about, is there a sequel manuscript sitting around somewhere? It was kind of crazy in the beginning, but again, it's one of those books where I got into that last like 30% and then I couldn't put it down. But getting there, the arc took a little longer than I probably would have liked. I listened to If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This book came out last fall. This is actually a big romance book. I want to say it's 400 or 500 pages long. Like, it's big. I listened to this at a faster speed than I already listened to because I just wanted it over. And it wasn't one of those books where I was like, I'm just going to DNF this. I went ahead and listened to it throughout. There was just enough to keep me a little bit interested, but not enough for me to give it my complete attention. It was one of those, like, I just want this book to be over. And that pretty much sums up everything that I have read in the last month. My reading has definitely slowed down, obviously, if I'm watching more television. I am currently reading It Could Have Been Her by Lisa Jewell. I am about halfway through. This is one of those books, like, I was taking it to doctor's appointments, which I should probably just hurry up and read it, because at one point there was a bit of a gap where I put it down and didn't pick it up for a few weeks. And then when I did pick it up in the waiting room of the doctor's office, I was like, wait, what? What is going on? I'll probably get it finished. And then I have joined a new book club over on Substack. There is a professor that I stumbled across on Instagram. I think her handle, I'll put it down below. It's Heavy Meta. But essentially she's created a girls book club. And so she, like, her master's thesis was on metaphors, and that our brains consume information, or we process stories or information better when we have it something to compare to. So they take, let's say, like a classic piece of literature and pair it with a nonfiction book that relates somehow to that topic, which is how I kind of stumbled upon this book. I'm still reading the other book that goes with this, but I just started it. It's called Belonging by Bell Hooks. But for August, we are reading The Scarlet Letter. I read this in high school. I loved it. I remember, analyzing it in school, but we're pairing it with the new age of sexism, how AI and emerging technologies are reinventing misogyny. So you can see how if these two are related. Now, I will say most of the books, like most of the literature that they read, is written by women, but obviously this isn't written by a woman, but parts of it are through the lens of a woman. So these two are in my rotation of books that I'm reading. And the idea was, it's only like $5 to join the book club over on Substack. So and I would say the majority of people in it are women. She writes like essays and things every week, and she gives you a reading guideline. Like, it's not like a free-for-all out here. Like, she tells you what to read, when to read. Like, she did do a separate one where all summer long, June, July, and August, they've been reading the Odyssey, and she's been pairing it. I forget what she paired with it, but there was like all kinds of things. So there's a couple different versions. She also has, if you're not really into this, she has a different book club that's meant to get people into reading. Like, if you're super absorbed, say, into social media and you're trying to spend more time reading, she does have a different one that's like a 30-day challenge called How to Read Your Effing Book. And she does videos over on Instagram. And of course, I'm really intrigued by the book club. So I'm going to try it for a couple of months. If it's working out for me, I'm going to stick with it. So we'll see. TBR, I don't have a ton because I'm working on these two. Well, because I'm working on these 3 books. And then I am reading an advanced reader's copy at night on my Kindle called A Perfect Mother by Miranda Smith. This one comes out September 10th. This is a thriller where she's a social media influencer, really big, really popular. She has like a mommy blog, and she's at a convention. She's doing this speaking thing, and her child is abducted in the bathroom while she's speaking. That's it's going really, really quickly. I'm having trouble putting it down at night. The only reason I am is because I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired that I can't read more than, say, 45 minutes before I'm like, okay, I can't do this. Am I listening to something? Oh, yes. I'm listening to Right Moves by, what's her name? Lisa Tom Forday. It's the second book in the Windy City series. The first book was Mile High. I read that last month, or listened to it last month. I'm liking this one better than the second one. The second one took a bit to get into. This one I'm not having any problems. I only have 2 books that I'm adding to my TBR. The first one is the new Abby Jimenez. This came out a couple of months ago, the night we met, but this is the book club pick for Frogget Yarns that went with the Bibliophile shawl. And so I have had this book, but I've been holding off till this month to pick it up and read it so that I could read it along with Frogget. And then Liv Constantine, it's a sister duo. Are they sisters? Maybe they're not sisters. But they're a writing team. They write thrillers as well. They have a new one coming out next week called Promise Me Never. I don't even know what the premise is, but I do have I just got an advanced copy of that book. So as soon as I finish the Perfect Mother one, I will jump right into that. So those are the only 2 that I'm adding into my pile because I've got these. I'm not really sure what I'll be listening to. I had gotten my advanced reader books. I had gotten it down to 2. Like I usually have, I don't know, 15 that I get approved for. And I got it down to 2 books. And then I kind of got in this panic, like, oh my gosh, what if I read these 2 books and then I don't have any advanced copies to read? So I went through and I picked a few. I'm back up to like 7, I think, but that's 7 between now. Some of them don't come out until December, January, February. I have a couple that don't come out till March. So I have plenty of time to get to them. But that is everything that I have been up to. It sounds like a lot. I promise you it's not. Life news, nothing much is really exciting. I do, like I said, I have an all-day in-service tomorrow for me, and then I'll be back to work before I know it. So I would love to know, have I inspired you to cast on anything new? Have you had similar issues with Tori U patterns with the whole longer, more inches in the front versus back? I'm curious if I'm the only one. I haven't gone through project pages to see if that's a thing, but I've done patterns by her in the past, like full length sleeves. So this is the first time I've ever had a fit issue. And it's probably, again, I think it's me because I think my row gauge is off. Not a pattern problem because she does write a beautiful pattern. It just helps if you read it correctly and do a gauge swatch. But I'm not a stickler on row gauge. So as long as I get left to right map 4 inches correct, I don't always pay attention to row gauge because I feel like you can usually compensate it, but it might have bit me in the behind this time. So that is all I have for you. I will see you same time, same place next week. So until next time, friends, happy knitting and happy reading.